and welcome back to another video. This time we'll be covering chapter 1 from class 6th NCERT science book. I know this chapter is pretty much very easy, but still we'll be covering it for the sake of moving in a particular direction and moving in a specific manner. Okay, like we'll be covering each chapter no matter whether it is important, whether it is tough, or whether it is easy. So starting with the first chapter, the name of this chapter is food. Where does it come from? Also, the reason why I started the science of NCERT as well, because science is also important from UPSC perspective and from developing your brain as well, because science is really helpful, really beneficial in developing your brain cells, in increasing the amount of neurons that you develop. Besides, science is a subject which comes in your mains examination. So starting it from the basics is the most prudent way to to head towards the advanced sciences, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to understand most of it. So you need to have proper basics if you want to study science, otherwise it will be all useless. So no matter how easy it seems or how much useless it might seem, you still need to start science from the very basics. So from class 6 we're starting it, and the name of the first chapter is food. Where does it come from? So the very first chapter talks about the basic human necessity, the most important basic human necessity, which is food, and the main thing importance about food, which is its source. What is the source of food? So you must have got an idea about what we'll be talking in this chapter. We'll be talking about where does the different kind of foods that we eat come from. What did you eat at home today? Find out what your friend ate today. Did you eat the same kind of food yesterday and today? We all eat different kinds of food at different times, isn't it? Now, this is obvious, right? Okay, moving on. Activity one: ask your friends in the school during about the items they would be eating during a day. See if you can also get this information from friends staying in different states of India. List all the items in your notebook as given in this table 1.1 for as many friends as possible. Okay, so here they've listed a few kinds of food. This is fish. Then this seems like idli, sambar, and some chutney. And this also seems like some kind of gruel. There seems to be so much variety in the food that we eat. What are these food items made of? Think about rice. Now, rice is a pretty common food. It's really common, and almost everybody in the Indian subcontinent eats rice. So we take raw rice and boil it in water, right? This is the simplest way to make rice. Just two materials or ingredients are needed to prepare a dish of boiled rice. So ingredients are subconstituent or smaller parts that are used or that are required to make a bigger dish mixture of ingredients. You can say that a dish is a mixture of several ingredients. On the other hand, some food items are made with many ingredients, right? To prepare vegetable curry, we need different kinds of vegetables, salt, spices, oil, and so on. But you'll notice that some food items, some ingredients are common to most of the foods, right? Like oil is common, salt is common, spices are common. Activity 2. Choose some of the items you listed in table 1.1 and try to find out what ingredients are used to prepare these. By discussing with your friends and adults at home, list them in table 1.2. Some examples are given here. Add some more items to this list. So here are the items. This is food. Item is roti or chapati. What are the ingredients? The ingredient is atta or water. Second food item is dal. The ingredients are pulses, water, salt, oil, ghee, spices. The third ingredient could be, you can choose anything. I'll choose curry. So for curry, require buttermilk. We need water. We need obviously we need oil, cumin seeds. Just spices and condiments and salt and all those kinds of things, and probably we require a lot of basin as well, even gram flour. What do we find? Do we find some ingredients common for different food items? Yeah, we do find them common, right? So where do these ingredients come from? Now this is the main question. Where do these ingredients come from? Food materials and sources. It may be easy for us to guess the source of some of the ingredients that we listed in table 1.2. Fruits and vegetables, for instance. Where do they come from? Plants, of course. What are the sources of rice or wheat? Plants again. You may have seen paddy or wheat fields with rows and rows of plants which give us these grains. So, paddy and wheat fields are really large, right? And then there are food items like milk, eggs, and wheat which come from animals. Activity 3. Let us take the food items listed earlier and try to find out where they come from, the ingredient and their sources. Okay, let's move back. And see here, the first ingredient is roti or chapati, which for which we require two ingredients, which is atta and water. So where does atta or flour come from? So it obviously comes from grains. It could be wheat flour, it could be some other kind of flour depending on the kind of roti or chapati you're making. But basically, it will all come from grains. And where do those grains come from? They come from plants, right? Moving on to dal, the pulses. Where these we require pulses for making a dal, right? Where do pulses come from? They again come from plants. Water is, water can come from anywhere. Water is a universal source. Then salt, where does salt come from? Salt has several sources. Some salt is found through rock salt. Rock salt comes from uh, rock salts. I mean rocks made up of salt, deep on the mountains or some other places. Then we have the spices. Spices are again a mixture. Like they come from various sources, and sometimes all those spices are just mixed up to make another kind of spice. Okay, moving on. What do we conclude from activity 3? Plants are the sources of food ingredients like grains, cereals, vegetables, and fruits. So you can see that plants provide us with so many things. They provide us with grains, they provide us with cereals, with vegetables, and fruits. Animals provide us with milk, meat products, and eggs. Cows, goats, and buffaloes are some common animals which give us milk. Milk and milk products like butter, cream, cheese, and curd are used all over the world. Can you name some other animals which give us milk? Yeah, goat, camel. I don't think sheep gives milk, right? But goat or camel definitely does give milk. Plant parts and animal products as food. So we consume the body of a being. I wouldn't say exactly a being, but we consume the body parts in order to replenish ourselves, in order to fill our stomach, be it plant or be it an animal. But since since plants have very little consciousness, and they don't mostly feel pain, or they mostly do not feel pain, I mean, and they are mostly dormant, so we feel easier killing of plants than killing animals. Okay, because animals have a very higher level of consciousness, they feel a lot more pain, and it feels more cruel to kill animals. Besides, plants are in so much abundance, and sometimes we can simply eat plant materials without harming them. Like the fruits will eventually drop off, so you can just pluck them up and eat them, and there will be no harm to the plant. Okay, then moving on, we have plant parts and animal products as food. Yeah, plants are one source of our food. Which parts of a plant? Now, specifically, it means, like we can't eat everything about a plant and not anything either. We have some specific parts of specific plants that we eat. Like for a mango tree, you eat its fruit and you do not eat its leaves or its roots or its stem, right? But for some other plants, you can eat its stem and not other parts of it. For some other plant, you might be eating its roots and not its flowers or not its leaves, right? So different plants have different edible parts on them. We eat many leafy vegetables. We eat fruits of some plants, sometimes roots, sometimes stems, and even flowers. Have you ever eaten pumpkin flowers dipped in rice paste and fried? Try it. I wouldn't be trying it because I don't have any pumpkin plants near myself. But you should. I've heard it a lot of times that they taste really good. So some plants have two or more edible eatable parts. Seeds of mustard plants give us oil. Now this oil is again edible, and the leaves are used as a vegetable. Can you think of the different parts of a banana plant that are used as food? Think of more examples where two or more parts of a single plant are used as food. Okay, moving on, activity 4. From all the food items you have listed in table 1.3, choose those items whose ingredients are obtained from plants. Which part of a plant? Identify these and list the food items and plant parts as shown in table 1.5. 1.4, sorry. Now these activities might seem useless, but they would be really beneficial in the long term. So I suggest that you make a quick list and write down the names of some food items and then their ingredients, and then just make some separate list and then put them according to which plant they are obtained from, or which part of that plant they are. This will help expand your brain and your knowledge. This is like kind of an exercise. So activity 5, again, I sincerely ask you that you perform all these activities because they are really helpful in the long run. Activity 5. Take some dry seeds of moong or chana. Put a small quantity of seeds in a container filled with water and leave this aside for a day. Next day, drain the water completely and leave the seeds in the vessel. Wrap them with a piece of wet cloth and set aside. The following day, do you observe any changes in the seeds? Now, this is a very common process practiced throughout India. This is called germination, seed germination, or sprouting. A lot of bodybuilders or health enthusiasts eat these sprouted grams. In fact, I myself have been eating them for quite a few years now, and this is very common, and your mother would most probably know about it. So if you don't understand it from the activity, you can just go and ask her. Just a minute, I need to sneeze. Okay, then moving on, a small white structure may have grown out of the seeds. This is sprouting now. If so, the seeds have sprouted. If not, wash the seeds in water, drain the water, and leave them aside for another day, covered with a wet cloth. The next day, see if the seeds have sprouted. After washing these sprouted seeds, you can eat them or you can boil them and then add some spices and get a tasty snack to eat. Do you know where honey comes from or how it is produced? Have you ever seen a beehive where so many bees keep buzzing about? This is a beehive. You must have seen it at some point of time, like in reality, not just in movies or videos. Bees collect nectar. So nectar is the essence of a flower, is the liquid essence, sweet juice of flower. And then they kind of solidify that liquid nectar with the help of their spit. Yeah, with the help of their spit. And they form this structure. This is actually pure honey. This is pure honey, pure nectar, but they have kind of solidified it by mixing their acidic saliva into it, slightly acidic saliva. Bees collect nectar from flowers, convert it into honey, and store it in their hive. Flowers and their nectar may be available only for a part of the year, so bees store this nectar for their use all through the year. Okay, so this is kind of their food storehouse. Since nectar is not available throughout the year, so it's not like whenever they feel like they want to eat nectar, whenever they're feeling hungry, they just can fly and go search for some nectar. It's not available all the time, so they need to store it. When we find such a beehive, we obviously, as greedy humans, won't let it go, so we collect the food stored by the bee as honey. Now, what do animals eat? Do you have a cattle or a pet that you take care of? A dog, cat, buffalo, or a goat? I'm sure some of you must have. You will then surely be aware of the food the animal eats. What about other animals, though? Have you ever observed what a squirrel, pigeon, lizard, or small insect may be eating as their food? Activity 6. Several animals are listed in table 1.5. For some of them, the type of food they eat is also given. Fill in the blanks in the table. So let's just start it. So first is buffalo. It eats grass, oil cake, hay, and grains. I don't know what oil cake is, honestly. Then cat, it eats small animals, birds, and milk. Then for rat, it also again eats small insects. No, not small animals, sorry, small insects. And it also eats grains, grains, cereals, pulses, bread, chapati, and some other kind of things. Then lion obviously only eats one thing, meat. Tiger again, meat. Spider, small insects. Bees, flies. House lizard, small insects. Bees, flies. Cow again, grass and maybe oil cake as well. Hay and grains definitely. Human beings. Now, human being is probably the most controversial aspect here. Human being has left nothing, like literally left nothing that it doesn't eat. I mean, some of the humans are even cannibals as well, so we can't really include anything in this. I'll just leave it as it is, empty. Butterfly, butterfly again eats nectar like the bees. Crow again eats insects, chapatis, breads, crow kind of eats almost everything. Then there are others. Moving on, have a look again at table 1.5. This is our table 1.5. And group the animals entered here as follows. Place animals which eat only plants or plant products in group 1. These are called herbivores. So I'm pretty sure most of you are already aware of what herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores are. But just to refresh your memory, herbivores are again those who eat only plant-based food. Okay, only plant-based food. Then Next we move on towards carnivores. Carnivores are those who which eat only, I repeat again, only meat based or animal based food. Then third are omnivores. Omnivores are those which are flexible, which eat both plant-based and both uh, meat-based or animal-based. And a good example of this is human and beer as well. You know, beer was the first example that I read about of an omnivore when I was a kid. Okay, Paheli wants to know where you would place human beings. You know, Paheli, actually, even I am confused where to place human beings. We know that there are many amongst us who do not get sufficient food. We need to find ways by which more food can be produced in the country. That will not be enough. We will need to find ways to ensure that this food is made easily available to each one of us. Now, this is a typical IES aspirant thinking. Okay, so you don't look at only one aspect of the thing. You look at the whole process. The whole process needs to be continuous and smooth. Okay, it's not like you've just covered up one aspect of the problem and then you're done with it and it's not your problem. You need to make sure that the whole process goes smoothly. So you just don't need to produce a lot of food. You need to ensure that it reaches the right mouths, it reaches the hungry mouths, right? It fills those hungry stomachs that are yearning for that food, that little bit of morsel. Okay, so this is your work. Your job is not just to produce food, but it is to make it available to them who really need it. So with this, we conclude our first chapter. You can read the summary here. There is a lot of variation in the food eaten in different regions of India, of course, and you should answer them by writing down the reasons. What are the reasons why there is a lot of variation in the food eaten in different regions of India? It could be the geographical location. The reason could be due to the geographical reasons. You know, the different geographical regions in India, uh, and it makes different kinds of food suitable for different kinds of region. You know, I mean, you can't really grow paddy and grains in the hilly areas. The main sources of our food are plants and animals. Now, again, ask yourself a question. Can there be other sources of food as well besides plants and animals? Third is animals which eat only plants are called herbivorous. Animals which eat only animals are called carnivorous. Animals which eat both plants as well as other animals are called omnivores. Okay, so this concludes our chapter 1 and we'll see you in the next video with another chapter.